Tonight we talk about a great event that's been taking place in Louisiana for a number of years. A candidate for governor is in the building to tell you why he should be your next governor. But we will begin with a lot of news with the school system. Roll it, Kyle. The East Baton Rouge Parish school system has a lot going on this weekend. The tax election, a renewal of an existing tax, is happening this weekend. Dr.Sito, Narcisse, the superintendent of schools in East Baton Rouge Parish, and Dadrius Lanus, our school board president, is here with signage. What would he be with if he didn't have a prop with him? Right. All right, let's talk about this. This is a renewal of an existing tax. It funds what?
It's going to fund, there's 4 propositions to it. It'll fund teacher salaries, materials for students, and programs.
Okay, and let's talk a little bit about where the system is now fiscally, how you've been doing. There's been a lot going on in the way of initiatives, but if people are wondering how the money is being spent, how are you operating, what's your answer to that?
Yeah, I mean, we've been spending more dollars in the classrooms. We've also been putting a lot of dollars in student supports. As you know, we were trying to make sure that children who came off COVID had more wraparound services, but at the same time, working to accelerate them in terms of reading and writing. We have more kids reading at a grade level than we've ever had right now. We also expanded early childhood seats by 6,000 plus. We have more kids who are also on track, passing 9th grade, 87%. 2 years ago it was 67%. We have about 6,000 kids taking advanced courses when it was about approximately 2,000 2 years ago. I mean, there's a lot of good things going on, but we need dollars to continue that process.
Well, your agenda has been aggressive since you've been here, and you've seen this. You were on the school board before Dr. Narcisse got here, and you've seen some of the progress. What's the biggest win, if people are watching the school system now, what's the biggest win you've seen since you've been on the board?
Having him, right? I think a lot of times you look at progress, and I think people associate it to board members, right? But we are fiduciary managers of what happens inside of our school system. I think from the top down, it has to be an approach that allows the leadership to grow, thrive, and move in a pace and space that allows our schools to also do the same thing. And since the superintendent's been here, I kid you not, for me, it has been a continuum of just success. Now, have we had any hiccups? Of course, that comes with any school system or district. But literally just this weekend, we went to Washington, D.C., and we participated in something called Council of Great City Schools, where you have urban school districts from all across the country. I'm talking about large districts like L.A. County, New York, Miami-Dade, everyone in between. And everyone at that table, in that meeting, it was over 100 cities. They all said that EBR is doing the work, and everybody's looking at us and studying us. In fact, 2 years ago, the U.S. Secretary of Education, Dr. Miguel Cardona, came here in our city for the very first time, and he said he loves what he's seeing with our Pathways to Bright Futures program. In fact, he said it needs to be a model for what we do across the country. That came out of our U.S. Secretary of Education's mouth.
What do we do about truancy, though?
Yeah.
I mean, it's an issue around the country, obviously, and what are we doing about that here?
So truancy is a challenge here. I mean, the reality is since COVID, we've been trying to work to bring kids back to school. So what we've done, which has been unique, we were talking about this in Washington, D.C. as well, was we working with our partners to try to begin to work through strategies to be able to address those. So we've worked with the judge's office. We had a meeting, creating a council that's going to be addressing that with the Mayor Sharon Weston Broom's office, Hiller Moore's office, our partnership with our board, also the community street teams and all 100 Black Men. All these partners are working together to be able to address that. The chamber, we've had them at the table to be able to do a collective approach on how we're going to allocate resources to bringing kids back to school and also providing support structures to their families to see how they can come back into school.
You know, I did an interview this week, and we were talking about crime, and I said that crime is a cultural issue. That police departments are about public safety, not crime. Generally, people don't call the cops before they commit a crime. It's a cultural issue. And at the core of how you fix it is education, right? Keeping kids in school, getting them married to whatever their destiny is so he or she can go be a productive citizen at whatever level. You guys can only do so much because you have the kids for a few hours a day, and then they go back into where they are. How do we address, how would you ask the community to work with you to address the culture issue that we see?
Well, I think we're doing it now. I think the superintendent just said it perfectly. We're trying to marry what we see happening inside of the mayor's office with the school system and with other external entities. For the first time ever, we're allowing the community to be a part of this conversation. Before, you know, when you talked about how do we man schools in terms of school safety, it was all the onus was placed on SROs or our resource officers.
Yeah.
Now, we have reassessed and said, okay, it can't just be resource officers on our campus doing that. We have to go out and get community members who are trained, federally trained in CVI work, so that's community violence intervention, and GVI work, that's group violence intervention, to come inside of our schools and be a part of that conversation.
I want to ask quickly here, I got about a minute, and I know that you've addressed the brawl that we saw recently. Just tell people what you're doing to address these kinds of things in schools.
Yeah, I mean, we're working with counselors in the schools. We're working, as you heard President Lanus talk about, we work with the street teams to find out what's going on in the neighborhoods. That's from the mayor's office. We're working with 100 black men who are connecting with the community as well. And also what we've done within the school, we've kind of created another additional space at the Rosenwald building to kind of make sure we're separating kids from different neighborhoods, right, so they can kind of manage through. And then, you know, counseling. We work with our eye care team, you know, because the bottom line is you want to change behaviors so kids can be able to stay in school.
Well, you know, it was sad. It's an anomaly, but it's really sad to see. Don't forget the election is this weekend. You got your prop. You want to hold it up one more time?
That's right. There we go. March 25th.
All right, let's come back and talk with a candidate for governor who has been a part of the landscape of politics here in Louisiana for a long time. And in our final segment today, we'll tell you about the governor's prayer breakfast. It's a big event that takes place every year. We got the inside scoop. Stay right there. And again, don't forget this weekend, the tax election for Saturday. The school system. Yep. Are you going to be out there working the?
Oh, you know it.
Back in just a moment.